Hi, I'm Bernardo Moya, founder of The Best You. Are you a motivational speaker, an author, a therapist, a coach, or a business guru trying to raise your profile and reach a global audience? At The Best You, we've been building our brand for many years, helping those in the world of personal development get their message out there through The Best You Expos, The Best You Magazine, and The Best You Online. And now we're looking to grow our community even more. We've recently launched The Best You TV, available on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and Google Play. So now by partnering with us, you can get your show on The Best You TV, you can contribute to The Best You Magazine, add your courses to The Best You Online, and join us at one of the Best You virtual expos happening around the world. Expand your brand and join a growing community that believes that everyone deserves a life without limits.
Hello and welcome to the Best You Virtual Expo, coming here live from London, UK. And with me I got Hugh McEllinden, and Hugh and I will be hosting this show today. How are you doing today, Hugh?
Good morning, Christopher. Very well, and your good self?
Oh, excellent, thank you. It's a beautiful Friday morning here with a lovely mystical mist laying over the landscape, so it's a good day. Well, every day is a good day, isn't it? So, yeah. But we got quite the lineup here today, don't we? With some wonderful speakers, and we got some wonderful prizes and giveaways that people that are with us during the day will be able to compete for, so, or be drawn for, as it were. So, wanted to see, should we perhaps run through some of the speakers today and.
Yeah, sounds.
What's people's appetites, all right? So we got Daryl Stern coming up in the next half an hour or so, and then we got Sarah Davison, we got Katja Rave, Jill Leblin, Bethany London, and Dr. Cheryl Wood coming up today. And then, of course, we got a full schedule throughout the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. So, yeah. How about you, Hugh? Are you excited about today and the speakers? Oh, I forgot someone important speaking today. I'll be coming in talking for 45 minutes as well.
Yeah.
Kind of dropped the ball on that one, didn't I? Well, I suppose I'm putting myself in the last room as always, but I'm working on that, Hugh. I'm working on that. So yeah, go ahead, Hugh.
I was going to say the TELUS said that whenever you board an aircraft, you should fit your own mask first if you need to help before you can help somebody else. And then we end up as practitioners and coaches leaving looking after ourselves and remembering ourselves to the last, So we're forever promoting somebody else and putting ourselves down the scale, So.
Absolutely.
But no, it looks like there's no looking about it. It's an incredible lineup that there is today and over the next 3 days, Christopher, and you and I are only getting to know each other, but it's just, I've been involved in and around the personal development arena for the past 28 years. I have been a student particularly of a lot that the Best You supports, which is the NLP fraternity, for 17 years. And when I look through the list of speakers and the people who are coming on today, I just know everyone who's going to be listening in is going to be taking some incredible snippet that will be hugely beneficial to them, whether in their commercial life or their domestic life or whatever it is they're choosing to do, So, and over the last couple of years, I've been fortunate to be at some of the live events, and it's just been incredible how many people yearn up and what they take from it. And it's been intriguing, if not somewhat interesting, to see how virtual events can actually take off. And I, like many people, have been in lockdown for now 11 months, which just seems incredible. My last outdoor commercial, if you want to call it outdoor as in leaving the office to meet someone commercially, was on the 13th of March last year. And, I was someone who was always used to having to be physically present, not just virtually present or spiritually present, but physically present to deliver the messages. And what I found over the last 11 months is how incredibly effective, these virtual events can be, virtual coaching, through the various different virtual platforms that are out there, whether using Zoom or whether using, Meeting Room, or whether here we are on StreamYard. It's just, I've genuinely been shocked how effective these things can be, because I just wasn't in my remit much, or certainly wasn't that consciously aware of it. Certainly we attend some seminars, but going back to 2019, I spent 6 full months over the course of the 12 traveling the world, speaking at live events, and it's just been incredible to see how it's come full circle to virtual. But I know from speaking to lots of people, having conversations with people, they're extremely effective, Christopher. So it's going to be interesting. This is my first virtual event on this scale.
Yeah.
But yeah, just last week I delivered a seminar to nearly 3,500 people, and it was a mix over 3 different platforms, from Zoom, Facebook Live, and YouTube. So it seems to be the way to go.
Yeah, and I think Best You has certainly taken the lead in terms of showing how it can be done when you pivot from a very kind of real world physical reality business to pivoting onto this virtual stages that we now see. I was part of Best You for the Miami show as well, and brilliantly executed, wonderful speakers, and just inspirational all around. You can feel that collective energy really perpetuating everybody to go forth and be the best person they can be. So I'm also, the way I got involved with Best You is that I'm hosting one of the shows on the Best You TV Best Coaches segment that will come up in the second quarter. But we're already all of this whole weekend is on Best You TV on the YouTube, and we're currently on Roku TV, Apple, or the Roku TV stick. We're live on Apple TV, Amazon Fire Stick, and there are some others coming along. So it's quite exciting, the work that Best You and Bernardo is putting on, and really bringing people into the living rooms of the public, as it were. So yeah, it's been a challenging year, as I live in the UK and been on lockdown and homeschooling kids since March 13th last year, and it's been challenging. But I think I've certainly took the point of view that okay, we're all challenged here. How can I show up and be of service? And I think that's really been a key part of this year. It's like, how can I be of service, and how can I help people just be the best versions of themselves? I think that's been one of the really good opportunities to come out of last year. So and having Bernardo lead from the front with these types of events, and Best You TV coming up, so it's been great. And I mean, this year we got the Best You Expo coming up in Youth Expo coming up in June, for example, and for all of these shows, there are opportunities for people and companies to speak and come in as sponsors, exhibitors. So it works very much like a real life expo would, but you popping in and out of these kind of virtual rooms and platforms that you and I are hosting here at the Masters, Mentors, and Influencers stage. So we just have to imagine this stage in front of us, and there's, what do we have, 15,000 people in front of us, right?
Yes, yeah. Very true, very true. So, Christopher, I know also that you're speaking today as well. You're straight up after Daryl, and
Yep.
I know we've got a couple of people joining us in the room even as we chat. So perhaps you just tell us a little bit about what it is that you have done over the years and where your expertise lies in terms of coaching. I know you've I keep joking with people when I see 25 years plus. So a quarter of a century makes you sound old, but you're far from old. So perhaps you want to share with us some of the things that you have done over the years and what brings you to where we are today.
Yeah, thank you, Hugh. Certainly, I hope that I look younger than I am, but my what's called the biological age? Apparently, I'm a couple of years younger than I really am. So I'm working hard on it. But yeah, no, I started. I mean, in terms of entrepreneurship, I started out, being 6 years old and convincing my grandmother to allow me to, or convincing my grandmother to buy me a whole bunch of sweets and setting up shop in her house and selling it at extraordinary overpriced to all the relatives.
Yes.
And pocketing all the revenues, giving none of the none of it to my grandmother for it. Yeah. And it was always thinking about ways to do things, and I think that's one of the things that drives an entrepreneur is this seeking mentality. Whether we're trying to solve a problem or whether we're trying to convey a message, whatever it is, we're always seeking to find the thing that is going to satisfy that urge. So I spent 5 years being employed by a company in New York, working as a sales manager with about $30 million in revenue responsibility. And that's really the only foray into the corporate world I've had. I worked as a consultant most of those years, but I've tried everything. I co-owned with my colleague a letting agency in Sweden, Residensportalen.se, and that's still that agency today is one of the biggest agencies in Sweden, shared #1 spot. So they've done well for themselves now, and I've really worked through the gambit. But when it came down to, and I started looking at what I've done throughout my life, and started looking at, okay, what is it that drives me? I started understanding that, I had it all twisted around. I was looking for the success in terms of how society measures it, which is essentially monetary terms, right? So I started looking at, okay, what is my passion? And once I found that, I realized, like, okay, that's all I need, because success will happen around it. Whatever I'm ready for will come around it, right? So then I started working with companies and individuals to help either find their success, like I had to do. It took me about 40 odd years to find that, but better late than never, right? And then other companies or people may have had their passion, but needs to rekindle it, or need to reformulate their relationship with it. So that's really where I work with people. So I'm now working to become a hypnopsychotherapist to allow myself and my clients to work more on finding the route to what are the limiting thoughts and limiting beliefs that people have about their own reality. And then I'm formulating kind of the business management and capitalism, or conscious capitalism, for the future, like the new paradigm. And that's really what I'm working on, to help companies realize that, if we keep focusing on the money, they're going to be left behind, because companies are now realizing that what are the actual assets of themselves, which is, their passion, the people, all the stakeholders that are within their realm. So it's a big job. My massive transformative purpose is to help people prioritize passion, and that really encompasses all of humanity. So we'll have to see how far I get on that journey, but every day is one step closer to it. So that's yeah, essentially that's where I come from, and that's my journey.
Yeah, I suppose there's an old adage that I grew up with here, being familiar with in, I suppose, in sales or marketing or personal development or whatever it is, and they often say if you're passionate about what you do or you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, and those passions, I have come to realize over 28 years that so many people, their dreams, and their ambitions, they take so many knocks. And um, I often use the phrase that, it's not that human beings are conditioned to be cynical or skeptical or whatever, but we take so many knocks, like people lifting a handful of dirt and throwing it into the fuel tank of your car as it continues to clog up. If you don't clean it out, if you don't take time out to realize where your passions once were, you take so many knocks that someone said to me one time that most people die around about 25 to 30. They just wait till they're 75 or 80 to be buried, so
Yeah.
the passion, the pilot light has gone, and they forget what it was that once drove them, what that burning passion was. And it's interesting, I was laughing inside to myself when you were talking about taking the sweets from your granny to sell in your home. As a young guy in primary school, I sort of hounded a local businessman to let me go and sell firewood blocks around doors in a city some hours drive away from here on a Saturday morning, just to get extra pocket money. We used to work in the fields and the farms, do anything we could do to get some money that we actually had ourselves. So, and that passion, that drive continues then to carry into different things. And we do hit many forks in the road. And the funny quote I ever got was George W. Bush: when you come to a fork in the road, you should take it, but which way do you go? So, and I often think if your passion has died, if you forgot what it is that drives you, that's where the confusion starts to lie. You reach that fork in the road and you just don't know. You've taken the knocks, you've got the setbacks, you've got the people who perhaps are condescending, run you down, and quite often perhaps some of them are well-meaning as well, Christopher. But unfortunately, with every one of those knocks, that pilot light continues to dwindle and dwindle. And if we don't get an opportunity, or if they don't take time out to get that opportunity to revive it, unfortunately, it's too late.
Yeah. No, it's really that pilot light is extinguished by fear. And it's fear that drives us down the wrong side of, or wrong part of the fork in the road. And it's once we kind of rekindle our relationship with passion, that's when we are able to actually listen to our intuition. So, but in terms of monetary results, I think we have some great giveaways today, don't we, Hugh? I think we're up to like $8,000 worth of giveaways, right? So everybody who joins in and takes part in the discussion,
Yeah, that and more. I'm just reading through some of the giveaways here. Free passes to some of the upcoming expos, free passes to join some of our memberships, our digital memberships that we're giving away. Best You, we're giving away over 100 of them, over the course of the 3 days, which is worth almost $16,000. We've got Bernardo and a number of different audio tapes. We've got books giveaways. We've got $15,000 worth of giveaways there. We've got Expand Your Brand on one of our TV channels, which is coming now, the new digital TV channels again, $5,000 worth of giveaways there, and just so much more, even on some of our speakers as well. Christopher, we've got an incredible amount of giveaways there. I'm just looking through. There's even language courses there, learning how to speak, $6,000 worth of giveaways there. We've got books on healing. We've got $12,000 worth of giveaways, and just the list is endless, Christopher. So during the course of the day, I think we'll speak a bit more about those and what we're doing. But I'm just noting that we're getting very close to commercial time here, and I know that we've got Daryl Stern coming up, and it's actually interesting because I was listening to what you were chatting about there, in terms of passion and lighting passion, and I read that Daryl's background is digital marketing. In fact, people describe him as the digital Jedi. So I'm old enough to remember the first Skywalker movie. So I'm very intrigued about Jedis and what that can do. But it actually it raises an interesting point, because he's talking here what I can see about increasing your profile, increasing your presence, and I'm beginning to wonder. I often think that there are a lot of good people out there who perhaps are afraid to put themselves out, not maybe because we talked about those not. So I think it's going to be interesting to hear from Daryl about, what it is that people can do to, and I use the word exposure, get more exposure for themselves. And I think perhaps even build that confidence, because there are many people out there who are very good at what they do, but they just don't know how to promote themselves properly, or perhaps they're afraid to promote themselves, So maybe much bit more about what Daryl's going to deliver, Christopher.
Well, yeah, actually, I saw Daryl speak at the Miami show, so I know a little bit about his background, and it is interesting that, because as an actor, Daryl would have to step onto stage. It becomes a very physical act to do, right? To step onto stage, to step into your greatness. And I think that is one of the big challenges for people in general, is to really step up and accept the gauntlet of life, of greatness, and stepping onto that stage. So I'm sure that Daryl will talk to us much more about that in his talk. And yeah, there's how you can express yourself, and how you promote yourself, and how you craft your message, right?
Yes.
So if you're not ready to step into your greatness, that's going to then permeate the messaging that you send out, whether it be live like this, or it be on YouTube, or through social media. And I think I know Daryl has a wealth of experience in that field and that part. So I think we're going to go to a commercial, and then after that we'll bring on Daryl and have a quick chat with him before we leave him to talk about what he does. So let's go to commercial.
Sure, it's expertise. Okay, lovely. Thank you.
Are you sick and tired of struggling to get your career to where you want it to be? Working with the right coach can be a life-changing experience, and Bernardo Moya is changing lives all over the world. Learn how to create revenue streams, attract higher qualified clients consistently, market your brand, and promote your business to a global audience. Bernardo is one of the biggest names in the world of personal development. He is an entrepreneur, an author, a speaker, and a founder and chief inspirational officer of the Best You Corporation. So fast-track your career now.
Someone just started or finished uni, or just lost their job, mid-40s. What is the best advice you would give them to kind of move forward, reinvent themselves?
Boy, if you just lost your job, first off, you don't want to be in a worry state. Like in Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, 2 amazing books. What I would do is get yourself in a confident state and take action. Okay, you can sit. What am I worrying about? Is the question. What am I worrying about? Because what keeps people from doing stuff and taking actions is they've lost their confidence. And 2 things that entrepreneurs really need to protect is they need to protect their confidence, because you just operate better in life in a state of confidence, and their gratitude, having gratitude for what it is you have. So if you've just lost your job and you're in a desperate situation, then you have to make yourself resourceful. And so there's resources readily available to you in the area that you already have expertise in, so you may need to immediately go back into that sort of skill set or position. If you know how to solve problems, there are what is a entrepreneur? Like the original definition of an entrepreneur, 1804, John Baptiste Say said, it was the first time they used the word entrepreneur in recorded history that we have documentation of, said an entrepreneur is an individual that takes resources from a lower level of productivity to a higher level. So start thinking like an entrepreneur. How do you solve problems for a profit? So you have a skill set, you can solve problems. Who has those problems? that will pay you money to solve those things. If I lost my job and I had skills, I would go to someone and say, I will work for you for free for a week, for 2 weeks. Give me your number one problem in this area that I know how to solve. If I can solve it, you pay me or you hire me. And secondly, I would just probably watch all the interviews that you've done, start studying people, because people like me and other people can hopefully kick your inspiration in the gear. And when you're in a motivated, inspiring state, you're going to go out there, kick ass and take names and ask for help. You know, call your friends, say, who's my genius network? Who can guide me and direct me to resources that are going to make my life better? A not to-do list is more important than a to-do list in many cases. So it's not what you say yes to, it's what you say no to, because everything you say yes to, you're saying no to something else. If you say yes to being on Facebook for 2 hours, you might be saying no to spending that time with your children. If you're going to say yes to watching TV, you're going to say no to, you know, maybe exercise. And if you say yes to staying up late, surfing the internet or looking at porn online, you're saying no to sleeping. So that, you know, there's a lot of stuff that people say yes to that isn't serving them, and they wonder why their life is not where they're at. And I'll tell you, it's not a choice at all, because sometimes these are compulsions, which is what addiction is. So yeah, I think, you know, I think what you're doing and what you're providing, people can learn so much just by absorbing the lessons that people are saying, but don't just hear them. You have to pick people that you resonate with, things that you hear, and instead of going shallow with it, go deep. And if there's anything I did, I went really deep with marketing, and I learned it, I applied it, I got a result, and it's changed my life, and it's changed the lives of tens of thousands of other people too.
The Best You TV, a TV channel with only the best business leaders and influencers ready to help you rise to the top. Available now on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and Google Play. Learn and grow from in-depth interviews, documentaries, inspirational talks, and motivational masterclasses from the world's biggest thought leaders, speakers, teachers, authors, coaches, and highly successful business gurus. The Best You TV is now live.
So we're back here live from the virtual expo, the Best You Virtual Expo from London, UK. And with us we have Daryl Stern from, you're in America, aren't you, Daryl?
Yes, I am here. It is 4 a.m. in Arizona, the Valley of the Sun, USA, and I am here with you live streaming in London. This is such a thrill.
Well, if you wake up at 4 a.m. or showing up at 4 a.m. looking that good, then showing up in the more normal time, I imagine you look even better, Daryl. So good on you. Well done.
Exactly.
So
Good day.
yeah,
Good.
Daryl, you have a background in acting and theatrics and so forth. Why don't you give us a little bit of your background there? And
Well, sure, most definitely. So. Well, first off, welcome. I'm so pleased. I've been waiting for the London event of the Best You Expo all year. We started off back in, we did Miami and Dallas and LA, and now we're finally coming to London. And in 2016, when Snapchat blew up, I got in touch with a lot of the big influencers on Snapchat, and they were having an event in London at a place called the Magic Roundabout, which is, you know where that is? Yes. Okay. So they invited me to sponsor this event called Snap Happen, which was a global party for all of the young kids on Snapchat that were blowing up Snapchat. So I actually got a ticket round trip to London, the furthest I've ever been away from home, 5,500 miles, you know, from Denver, Colorado, where I was living at the time. And I just loved it. I absolutely fell in love with London. One of my favorite adventures there was to go to the Tower of London. And, you know, the plaque on the front of the Tower of London says 1066. And as Americans, there's nothing 1,000 years old here. Do you understand? Like, we don't see things that are other than the Grand Canyon, which is probably, you know, which is near here where I live, you know, and that's tens of thousands of years old, God knows. But it was just fascinating to see, the depth and scope of humanity just by being in London and seeing architecture that is from the space age, and then next to it, a church where the first English dictionary was developed, like right next to each other. I remember that on the tour that I took. So I'm so glad to be here. So yes, I grew up in the theater. I was a child actor growing up. There was a show on ABC called Schoolhouse Rock, which are little cartoons that teach kids about all kinds of things, grammar and English and spelling, and they're quite, famous here in the US. And in 1983, I got the role of Scooter Computer on these new cartoons called Scooter Computer and Mr. Chips, this was 1983. We're going back to the Commodore 64 now, the Atari 400. Like, this was introducing kids to what a computer can do. So from there, I just went on in my adventure in theater. And by the time I was in 8th grade, I took to playwriting and wanting to write dramatic copy, write plays. And I did that. And I was a runner-up in the state New Jersey Young Playwrights Festival. And then the next year, I won the National Young Playwrights Festival. So I'll continue my story, my talk about how theater has influenced my life and how everything has come back into it. But that's just a little bit of a start of, I'm an actor and a theater director and even a stand-up comedian and a singer and musicals and you name it. I've done it all.
That's awesome. Hugh, I mean, have you got any acting experience? I mean, this is so far off my comfort zone.
Well, my amateur dramatics go back to my teenage years, and I grew up here in Ireland, Daryl, and very, very interested about the history and stuff as well, because it's embedded in me too. But in rural Ireland, where I grew up, we have a strong community sense, and we have sport actually is the hub of what we do community wise all across Ireland. And we have a charitable or an amateur organization called the GAA, which is basically how it's our Gaelic games is what we do. But around that, we have so many other social activities. So I was involved in a youth choir, we would have sang in competitions, and amateur youth dramatics as well. So we would have had small sketches, 15, 20 minutes, and that led in latter years to being involved in acting in lots of other projects as well. I acted on mostly comedies, I have to say. So I would have what they might describe as the straight guy against the idiot or the comedian in group, but I absolutely love it. It's great. And I do know as well that one of the things that has intrigued me over the years, and I know we mentioned, and we're going to be talking about, the digital Jedi in a few minutes, but I can recall as a youngster, growing up in the 70s, sitting in the theater to watch the first Star Wars movie and how story writing, this is the one thing that intrigues me now about story writers, whether they're playwrights or television dramas or movies or whatever the case might be, is the whole thought process. The depth of what goes into creating a story has to be incredible, because to get you the people who are either sitting on their sofa at home or sitting in the auditorium or sitting in the movie theater following the story, imagine it playing out in their head, and it must be the ultimate skill of story writers, is to be able to know that the people are being brought along with them, Daryl. So I've got to say, I take my hat off to writers who are usually the unsung heroes, the people, we wow at the Daniel Craigs, we wow at the Liam Neesons of this world, we wow at Tom Cruise's, Julia Roberts, or whoever it is, and I'm thinking, I'm rhyming off the older actors here. There's probably a lot of newer actors as well, but we wow at what they do when they deliver the story. But it's how the story that was wrote, and I can recall one time I acted in one of my first full 90-minute plays, and I remember reading the script and thinking there's something in this script, but not getting the story until we started to bring it to life and started to act it and started to put the moments. So it's only then that you bring the writer's real skill to life, is when the actors actually get embedded in making these things happen, you know. So I'm in awe, Daryl, of writers of any description, because they have to have such a creative genius, and often that genius is not recognized. So I say, when I look and see that you were actually winning awards when you were still as far back as school, just incredible, you know.
Well, sure. Thank you very much. I'll tell you something else that happened that was a big influence on me is I went to the Globe Theater, which, as you guys probably know, but I'll talk to my American friends for a minute, is where Shakespeare wrote his plays. Now, it's a replica. It's not in the it's very close to the actual location of where it was, but the banners around the theater said, you know, Shakespeare, I believe it's 400 or 600 years old, for somewhere in there, you know, for 400 years.
Over 400 years, yeah.
400 years, right? So I looked at that and I said, what if your marketing and your message would still be here 400 years from now? What if we crafted it so well, so poetically, using even iambic pentameter, you know, using drama and knowing when to pause in the drama of our YouTube channel, of our Facebook posts, and the poetry of what we write, you know, to move people emotionally. What if it was so well done? And that's what I strive to create in my marketing agency, is marketing that's so well done that it will hit people in the heart, but also be created in such a way that it will span the test of time, that it hits universal truths that'll be with us long after we're not here and still be out on YouTube and all of that kind of stuff, streaming all over the world.
Yeah. Very good. Well, listen, I'm going to say we shouldn't be taking any more of your time. It's great to just get a depth of who you are, but I think at this stage we'll pass it over to you to deliver your message more poetically than we could ever do. You know, so we leave it to you, Daryl, to deliver your presentation for us today.
Well, sure, and I'll bring you guys back after, and we could do some questions and all that. Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Super cool. Thank you, guys. And I'm so honored again to be speaking to everyone in the UK and all around the world. So my name is Daryl Stern. I'm known around the world as the Digital Marketing Jedi. When I was 4 years old, I went over to my father. I couldn't really read or write so well yet. And I said, grab a piece of paper and a pen. I am going to dictate to you the story of Peter Rabbit, starring me in my bunny ears and my bunny pajamas as a complete one-man show. My father's looking at me like, what? So he grabbed the pen and the piece of paper, and I proceeded to tell him and literally from memory dictate the entire show of the story of Peter Rabbit, which I know is an English story, and it's one of my favorite storybooks. And my parents used to go nuts every night. I would ask them to read me a story. But from that early age, I realized that creating theater was what I really loved to do, to move people emotionally, to tell a great story, to do a great performance. So as I was growing up, theater was my life. I was, as I mentioned before, the voice of Scooter Computer on Schoolhouse Rock. In 8th grade, I was in the workshop for a Broadway production called Smile. And that was written by Howard Ashman, the great Howard Ashman, and it was sung by Jodie Benson. Howard Ashman went on to write The Little Mermaid, the Disney movie that came out in 1989. And Jodie Benson, who I got to work with, fabulous actress and singer, was the voice of The Little Mermaid. In college, I wrote plays. I read Shakespeare and Tennessee Williams and all of the great playwrights of all time. Tom Stoppard is one of my favorite. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. If you haven't ever seen a production of that or read that play, it's just absolutely brilliant. Then, right after college in 1994, I had won all of these awards. I was on Scooter Computer. I was, singing on Broadway, all of this stuff. And the next year, I was selling computers at Radio Shack. What happened? I grew up a star, right? Everything I touched turned to gold. I'm a playwright. I wrote one play and it won the State Young Playwrights Festival. I wrote another play and I was such a talented kid and everybody's telling me I'm brilliant. And all of a sudden, I didn't understand what to do. Now, in 1994, we didn't have social media. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have any of this, networking or any of this kind of stuff. So I didn't know how to market my plays, how to get out there and be seen and be heard. So my mom, God bless her soul, told me, you're going to graduate school and you're going to get a master's degree in communications. I said, okay, Mama, that's what I'll do. So from 95 to 97, I was studying television and nonverbal communication and all kinds of different communication aspects on the graduate level. Right then, when I got my degree in 1997, this was a crucial year, a crossroads year, because there were little floppy disks at the computer store. Back then, we had CompUSA all over America, where they sold the big giant PC computers that we used to use. And it said HTML, the World Wide Web. Make a website. Now, having been Scooter Computer, I had an Atari 400. I got a computer basic cartridge when I was like 13 years old. I learned how to code some, and I said, oh my gosh, this is it. What can this do? Our imaginations just lit up. What could this thing do? This internet, this extension of our human consciousness. So I went backstage. I became a director of sorts. I learned how to code. I learned how to build websites. I worked in a marketing department of a company called SyncSort, who created software way back in 2000 to 2002. But there was something wrong. I noticed that a lot of big advertising firms were charging a lot of money for building websites. And I saw that that was entirely unethical. So I decided in 2003, that's when my first business launched that I still run today, to launch the world's first ethical website design and development business. So again, I put the theater aside. This is what I was going to do. I was going to make websites for companies. Over the next 15 years, something amazing happened. The internet sped up and technology got faster and faster. And all of a sudden in 2005, I was seeing some posts about Macromedia Flash and alpha channels on video, and the idea that we could now stream video, and something called YouTube, which some of you might be watching right now. Well, years after that, I was living in Denver and I'm working with a client, and we're talking about the way that she's going to do her videos, how she's going to stand, how she's going to speak, where she's going to pause, where she's going to emote her videos. And she said to me, this is great, Daryl. I need a theater I need a theater director for my marketing. Wait a minute. I'm not a theater director. I haven't done that in 20 years. What are you talking about? And then another gentleman, I'm writing a blog, as he would say, like in his voice, in his character. And he's reading it as I'm writing it. And he's saying, how are you doing that? How are you becoming me? You're writing this as if I was talking. And I said, well, I'm an actor. So life kind of derails us. I lost my father just before I turned 25. My mom passed away of ovarian cancer way back in 2002. And life seems to derail you, right? We get off track. We do all kinds of different things. But my father told me this. He was a philosophy professor at Kane University in New Jersey for many, many, many years. And he told me, you always have prosperity in you. Now, he didn't use the term influence at the time, but I'll add on to that because that's the hottest term today. There is influence in you, and you are always prosperous because there are certain things that no force in the universe can take away from you. Nothing can possibly take this away from you, which are your talents and your gifts, right? And what your abilities are, your education. So I'm here to tell you today that you, all of you across the UK, Ireland, Scotland, everybody over there in the UK, and everybody else watching me stream today, this morning, are a gift to the world, and the world needs your gifts. What you can teach, what you know, and what you can demonstrate that you might take for granted. Well, doesn't everybody know about this? Doesn't everybody know how to do what I do? I mean, I'm not really worth that much. I just know how to do these things. I mean, I don't know. That's not really all that great, is it? Yes, it is. Everything about you that you know how to do, there is someone out there in the world that doesn't know how to do that thing. So let's go to 2016. All of a sudden, this app lights up called Snapchat, and everybody's on Snapchat. And I met Virginia Salas Castillo, who's hopefully watching today. She's over there in England. She's one of the top influencers in the world, and she's a dear friend of mine. And she invited me to sponsor an event in London called Snap Happen, which was a global party for all of the influencers, all these young kids on Snapchat. Well, I did it. I got a ticket round trip. It only cost me $700 round trip to get from Denver, 5,500 miles away, to London. And I tell you, it was the most fantastic experience. Now, here's what I'm going to say and what I learned. These younger kids that were in their early 20s, some of them even younger than that, some of them going up to maybe 30 years old, they had something that the rest of us don't have. And that thing is simply their youth. What do I mean by that? I mean, they don't care. They don't have a care in the world. They are so passionate about just having fun, creating this content, singing, laughing, telling jokes, teaching people different things about social media. They just love what they do. They're tapping into their gifts in joy. So one of my main philosophies in digital marketing is, what if you could wake up every single day with the joy of knowing that you are truly a gift to the world? What if every day you woke up saying, oh my gosh, I haven't told them this story about me yet. I haven't taught them this lesson. I'm so excited to be here because the powers of the universe have put me here and I'm a gift to the world and I need to get out there and teach my gifts. Now we're going to get into the real part. Okay. I met a local auto mechanic in 2016. His name's Saul Reisman. Brilliant kid, living Wikipedia of fixing cars. I don't know if you've ever met anyone who's like a living Wikipedia of what they do. You mention something to them and they just know every part about it. So this kid knew everything about every type of car and truck ever made and all the different manufacturers. And he came to me and he said, I am a gift to the world. I want to be the #1 auto mechanic in all of Colorado and possibly even the world. And I want to be an influencer and known all over the world. So I said, okay, you're ready to get stern. That's my hashtag. Let's do it. First off, I made him a website with nearly 60 landing pages, one for each and every type of car that there is. Now, listen very carefully. What I call those is situational avatars. What is a situational avatar? That is a specific situation someone is in. Now, in playwriting, when I would develop a character, I would have a character sheet and I would write out how old the person was, what their religious background was, whether they were dating or single or not, what their habits were, even what their allergies were, right before I would write a character. This is kind of like the same thing. There are lots of different features to your business. And a lot of us keep talking about the features of our business, right? How long it takes or what size it is or this or that or what the features are. I don't care about the features. I care about the benefit to me. Tell me and give me hope that you can fix something in my heart that I've been searching for to find, that I want to stop feeling or I want to stop having in my life that I just can't take anymore, that I'm frustrated with, that I'm angry with. So I'm going to teach you a little bit about how to write an amazing, emotionally driven inbound marketing or landing page script. I want you to get out your pens and papers, get out your notepads on your thing. I'll pause the video for a minute and then I'll continue. Okay, good. Got you a second to do that. Here we go. The first sentence in a really great stern storming landing page script is, are you frustrated? Are you angry? Are you scared? The second line is, do you hope? Do you wish? The next line is what we call the need statement, which is, you know that if you don't do this, nothing's going to happen, right? You know you need to change. This is the statement where you are bold and you punch them in the gut, as I call it, right? As they would say back in New Jersey, hey, how you doing, right? You punch them in the gut and you tell people, look, do you want to sit there and not do anything about this, or do you want to change? The last statement is the what if statement. The what if statement is where you could turn on your wisdom and paint a picture of their future, not just the service you're going to provide, but how they are going to be able to live after that. Now, you may think, I mean, I'm kind of know my benefits of my business, I guess, right? Isn't it this? Go to your clients, go to the people that you've worked with and ask them, how is your life now different than when I started working with you? And their answer might surprise you. Your value is always greater than you know. Okay, back. Marketing is two things: giving people hope, then proving that you can do it. So back to my auto mechanic. I'm down at his shop every Wednesday morning at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. And I bring my phone with a little clip-on mic, a little lavalier mic, and I say, look, this is what we're going to do. We are going to relentlessly create stories of you demonstrating what you do, right? Just doing what you are doing, right? Showing people, letting people behind the scenes, letting people see what you know. So we would go around his shop and we would look at all these different cars: Bentleys, Jeeps, Maseratis, Lamborghinis. I mean, we had luxury cars. We had a classic 1966 Rolls Royce with the steering wheel on your side of the road. You know what I'm talking about? But all you guys over there in the UK. So relentlessly every week, he would tell these great stories and he would give this great advice, and he would be so honest about this auto repair. So the secret then is that I take those videos, I super optimize them on YouTube, which is the second largest search engine in the world. And then I transcribed them. Now, remember my Shakespeare example, right? Where I'm talking about the poetry of you, like all the words and all the content that are in you. I am a content extractor, meaning that when you go Sternstorming, I'm going to pull from you all of the content that's in you and then put it on stage, right? So I transcribed these videos, and then I did something magical that most people take for granted. We're going to take a little time machine back to 1998. Ready? There we go. 1998. This guy in Belgium, I believe it was Belgium, creates this thing called CERN, C-E-R-N, and this thing called a web browser. And he figures out, and what he wanted to do was be able to send text really fast through a set of rules to another computer program that would unpack those instructions and display the documents, okay? Meaning he would send it through a hypertext transfer protocol, HTTP. You with me? You listening? You getting this? And mark that text up with something that could be read as paragraphs and bolded statements and all of that, called HTML, which is simply hypertext markup language, kind of like your English teacher would mark up your English paper with P symbols and where the period should be and correct your punctuation and all of those kind of things. All right. The other thing that he wanted to do was create links. Now you're clicking on links every day. It's subconscious to us now. We don't even realize what the miracle of this actually is, right? Let me take you back to 1996. If I took Christopher's book out of the public library, right, and he mentioned Hugh's book, right? Okay, I had to go back to the public library, put that book back, take out the other book, and open to that page. What if we could just click a link and go from document to document to document to document? What if I could go to this article, to this article, to this article, to this article? What if all the scientists and doctors in the world could cure disease by just sharing their ideas and their concepts and their documents and just have us go like this and snap right through it and click on links? Here's what I'm talking about. When I transcribed Saul's talk and in his videos, there were certain keywords. You might have heard this terminology before. Keywords or key phrases that he naturally uses over and over and over again. You are your own, guess what I'm going to say next? SEO, search engine optimization. Now listen, the words that you naturally use in your jargon around what you do, I then take those and scan for those and link them together. Now you might have heard the expression, he wrote the book on that, right? Like Christopher wrote the book on what he does. Hugh wrote the book about what he does, right? Okay. That's what we're doing relentlessly. That's the other part. Okay. People often ask me, well, how long does this take? At least the Americans do, because they're very impatient. How long does this take, Daryl Stern? How long does this take? And I say, how committed are you to your business? What? Huh? What do you mean? How committed are you to telling your story, to waking up every day in the joy of knowing that you are a gift to the world and relentlessly telling your story? Right? That's how long you market. Now, going back to Saul, the end of his story is that we take a look and said, I wanted to go further. I wanted to see how to reverse engineer how to go viral. And again, there is viral content in you. There is something in you that can go viral, that is much needed in the world. So let me explain. At the intersection of lots of people are searching for an answer to something, such as COVID and the COVID vaccine currently this year and last year, right? And you have an answer to it. You have something that you can contribute to that global conversation in this extension of the human consciousness called the World Wide Web, right? At the intersection of that, where you lend your voice to something a lot of people are trying to solve, that goes viral. So I researched what kind of cars and trucks are popular in Denver, Colorado, and a lot of people drive Jeeps. I don't know if there's so many Jeeps in the UK. Are there? I don't know. There must be, but they're old army vehicles with the big wheels, and you can go off road and drive through the snow and drive in the mountains in Colorado in them. So Jeeps have an engineering flaw that a lot of people know about called the Jeep death wobble, where instead of the wheels spinning forward, the wheels can go like this and oscillate and shake really bad, and you can go off the road and literally perish. Okay. So there's a lot of videos about this. There's a lot of people out there, mechanics and all kinds of other different kind of people trying to solve this issue and giving their solution to it. Well, I asked Saul, I said, do you know the answer to this? He said, yeah, I put $20,000 into fixing my own Jeep. I knew the exact problem with the suspension geometry. Chrysler Fiat has never released a tech bulletin that's in that fully. I mean, he just went right away, like telling me the whole story. And I said, viral content, right? Like, here we go. It's so exciting. So we did this video, 6.5 minutes long. It's still on YouTube. It has had, we released it in July of 2016. Over the past 4 years, it has had over 183,000 views. It has been liked over 1,300 times. No paid ads. This is all organic. And the engagement is through the roof. There's tons and tons of comments. But what are those comments? They're saying, thank you. This is a great explanation. Thank you for helping me. I never thought this could be the solution. Thank you. I really wanted to solve this problem in my life. You are a gift to the world. Now, here's the clincher. Are you ready? Okay, hold on. Are you ready? A couple months after this video comes out, Saul's on Facebook Messenger, and he messages me, and he says, that video has made us $20,000. A week or so later, he says, that video has made us about $80,000. I'm like, no way. Meanwhile, the views are going up and up and up. To date, he has made $7.89 million in Jeep repairs off of this one video. Some investors came along and allowed him to take over Autotech, which is now the single largest independently owned auto mechanic shop in the nation. My marketing makes businesses bigger, literally. So it goes beyond that. Because Saul's voice was so out there, because he was thinking globally and not locally, and putting his what he knows and what he's doing at this little car repair shop, right, in the middle of Englewood, Colorado, in this dirt road, right? Because he was brave enough to work with me and say, I want to show people what I'm doing. I want to take them behind the scenes. I want to demonstrate. Being as you are and how you are sells you right in the element of your gifts. So stern storming works like this. When I engage with you in a stern storming session, which you can go and get at the at sternmarketingacademy.com, you put a www in front of that. I've got a little promo code, the best you. It saves you 75% off. I mean, I just really want to help everybody, and I love working internationally, so you can go take a look at that. When you spend those 4 hours with me, I'm going to go back through your life. We're going to go all the way back to when you were very, very young, and I'm going to go to what can you remember the most, the first memory that you have. I remember my mom putting me on her 10-speed bike. There was a little fiberglass seat that we had, and I attached it at the little belt. I don't even know if I had a helmet. This was 1972. We didn't have the big straps, the harnesses they have today. And we went whizzing around the neighborhood, and it was just so much joy. There are stories in you that can create influence. You are a gift to the world. So I invite you to be my new Peter Rabbit. I want you to be that story that I fall in love with, that story that I can't wait to help you put on stage, that I can help you dramatize, that I can teach you how to act out, that I can teach you how to pause at just the right moment and feel something on camera, to move people emotionally through your landing pages, through your funnels, through your YouTube channel, through your articles on LinkedIn. This last year during COVID, our agency created over 1,000 videos and 14 online courses. And I actually traveled the country more in this pandemic than any other year in my life. I had my mask on. I stopped at every disinfectant station. It was amazing. Everything from Dr. Ruby, who teaches you how to cure your own cancer through nutrition, to Dr. Barbara, who teaches you how to get rid of the PTSD that you might have in your life from the abuse from your alcoholic family, to Danielle Morrow up in Denver, who teaches you how to live in bliss, to, remember, Crystal Richardson, who is streaming with us in Miami. I just filmed her course last night, and I was up till 9:30 at night, got home, slept a couple hours, and came over here at 4 in the morning to talk to you guys. There is gifts in you. I'll leave you with one other one. So I grew up in Edison, New Jersey. Thomas Alva Edison created the phonograph, okay? The phonograph, right, as we all know, recorded a moment in time, right? It recorded a voice. And then that disc could be copied and sent all around the world. Now, when everybody puts on their headphones and listens to the latest song by Beyonce, everybody is having that one singular soulful experience, but 1 billion people can be having those experiences at once. This is the miracle of the phonograph and Thomas Alva Edison, recorded media. Now I'm going to paint a dream for you, a dream of influence, where while you're speaking, while you're playing with your kids, while you're talking to your husband or your wife, or while you're out bowling or playing racquetball or whatever you guys like to do over there in England. Maybe you're at the pub. Is that what Is that where you all go? I don't know. So that while you're doing those other things, people are learning from you, right? You are too much of a gift to the world to hold those gifts inside. Join me in a stern storming session, and I will pull from you those gifts that will make you create more profits and influence in your business than ever before. Thank you. I'm Daryl Stern, reporting live from the Valley of the Sun, Phoenix, Arizona, streaming worldwide all over the world. And God bless the Queen. God save the Queen. I love London. Thank you so much for having me. Let's bring the other hosts back in. We should do a little Q&A. You guys are fantastic.
Well, thank you, Daryl. And may I say, you're fantastic. That was awesome. And 75% off. That's truly astonishing. I think humanity thanks you for your generosity. That's absolutely awesome. Could you repeat that website where they go and the promo code they use?
Sure. I'm going to put it in the comments on the streaming YouTube right now. It's www.sternmarketingacademy.com. And you guys can find me on LinkedIn, on Facebook, all over the internet. I'm Daryl, Darrell. I think it's down there. No, it's down in this corner. There it is. Daryl Stern. You just Google me. You'll find me somewhere on the internet, on Facebook or someplace. And just message me, send me a message. I want to help everyone understand how this internet marketing works, how to optimize a YouTube channel or do SEO on a blog or whatever it is that you're looking at. But here's the other thing that I ask people is, and I think you were talking about this before, Christopher, it's what turns your soul on. A lot of times people are talking about their business to you, and you can tell that they're not fully in that business, if that makes sense. They're not fully in it. They've thought of something that they kind of maybe want to do, and they just came up with the idea, but their soul isn't in it. And I ask you, for the true fulfillment of your own life's purpose, right? What if you could get to do that thing that you slay at, that you just are the best at every single day? That's our job as marketers, right? Is to allow you to get to do that thing, to help people using your gifts in that way that only you can do it as often as possible. And then you get to live your ultimate fulfilled life, which is you're helping people, which is what we all want to do, is serve.
Yeah, no, that's
so that raises an interesting, thought for me, Daryl, as I read. I've actually, whilst you were chatting there, I have to confess to be reading your Facebook profile and searching your LinkedIn and various different things. So getting a feel for the person, one of the things that particularly, maybe this is an Irishism or a Britishism or perhaps a Europeanism, I'm not entirely sure, but we have this old adage here that fortunately suppresses people's what I believe is potential to live that they were born to live, and that is that who does he think she is, or who does she think she is, or
Right.
this thing, I think it stops people from finding where their magic lies. And I'm listening to you talking about that young car mechanic who was an encyclopedia, knew that he wanted to share a message, but you had to bring that out of him. So how would you speak to someone who thinks, I've got something I want to share, but who am I to be sharing that information?
Well, first off, if the first thing that you're going to accomplish when you get out there and really use your voice, the very, very first rule of it is you're going to piss a lot of people off. So get over it, because that's the first step, right? Your friends are going to be jealous because you're trying to do something more successful than they ever tried to do. Your parents are going to tell you, keep that day job, go back to college. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the whole world is going to come crashing down when you get that crazy entrepreneurial idea, right? So here's, I'll give you an example. I once was talking to somebody, and I was frustrated because most of the people that I was talking to, didn't have a lot of money, of funds to put into it. And I was talking to Kevin Kneble, who's a worldwide speaker, and I told him about that frustration. And he said to me, and he's from New Jersey like me, we're very blunt. He said, well, stop talking to broke people. Now, what I'm talking about is go to the other side of the street. Right? We hear all the people that are going to be seeing streaming for the next 3 days. I'm sure someone in our background told us what we couldn't do, right? What we can't do, what we shouldn't do, or who do you think you are to be so bold as to do that? Well, guess what? There's us on the other side of the street. So if you're feeling like that, come over to us, come over to the entrepreneurial groups, come over to us where we'll welcome you and we'll nurture your gifts. And that's it. Just go to the other side and knock on the other door of that club where the people are going to support you.
Yeah, you might well say then the old adage is, who are you not to? What influence could you be to someone? And again, one of the greatest TV shows in recent years certainly has flooded the airways across the world has been CSI. For now on well over a decade, maybe 15 years. But I often refer to CSI effect whenever you get an opportunity to leave a positive DNA print on someone somewhere, like an impression in the world, like you talked about at the start of your conversation. 500-600 years from now, is someone going to say, oh, this is a piece of literature that this person put together? Or way back in the years of something called the internet and something called YouTube, they left this video message for you. So every opportunity we get to interact with someone, I call it the big moment, like DNA. Well, in that CSI, when they touch the handle or they touch the gun or they do whatever they do, touch the cup, they leave that imprint. And listening to you, Darren or Daryl, today reminds me of getting that opportunity to leave that positive CSI imprint on so many people, and it's great to listen how you can bring it out of people that they forgot it was even buried so deep inside.
Well, I'll tell you this. My grandmother parents were French and English, so I am an eighth British. So there you go. So there you go. With they're talking about imprints and DNA, right? We're all a mixing pot of all different kinds of people and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, if we're gonna go into a big ethereal, I'm gonna go way out, big universal for you. What is your legacy, right? And how do you live on? You live as long as someone remembers you, right? After you're gone, you are still alive as long as someone remembers you. So it's just a crime, going to your crime scene, crime scene investigation, thing. It's just a crime not to use your gifts. If you knew how to cure COVID and you were sitting at home right now saying, oh gosh, I wonder if I'll get, if they'll come after me or whatever. Come on, right? Well, I mean, we get out there and cure and help us, right? So, I mean, I'm making a pretty blunt example about it, but if that type of person hid their gifts or was too afraid to go out there and share their gifts, right, we wouldn't have their gifts. So that's a part of it. The other part of it is learn acting. I'm starting a new program in a couple months called Acting Stern, which is going to be an acting school for business people. where I teach business people how to become better actors, right? Because this world is theater. We're on camera, right? This is theater. So if we're not looking to theater, then why aren't we doing that? Podcasters should be listening to more radio shows. Why? That's broadcasting. That's where the radio play started, was on the radio back in the 1930s, 1940s, right? Like, there's examples of things before us that we can use to then nurture our talents today and all that kind of stuff. But as for the, maybe someone shouldn't, or maybe someone all those kind of things, everything that someone says is a reflection upon themselves. And I'm not going to get religious. I'm not a religious person, but everything is a mirror of their own thing. Love thy enemies, right? Even pity thy enemies. Not really pity, but you know what I'm saying? When someone is jealous of you, it's a reflection of them. It's not a reflection on you, right? It's a reflection of them and their struggle that they can't get past whatever's in their life. So they don't know how to express it in any other way than bullying you. So bullies need to be flipped around and said, hey, well, what do you like to do? Maybe we need to give you more space to explore and have your voice be heard. I don't know, but there you go. I just went into all kinds of philosophies there. There you go.
Yeah, no, but it all interlinks. It's, we can't approach just the one side of it. You have to approach the holistic person, right? So you have to look at the physical, the mental, the spiritual. When you approach them to talk about, like you do, Daryl, to extract what is essentially them, what is authentically them, because it's when we show up authentically as ourselves, then the world welcomes us. I mean, and when people say, oh, who do you think you are? And I think asking yourself, it's like, why not me? Why not now?
Well, they asked me, who do I think I am? I was the voice of Scooter Computer on ABC Schoolhouse Rock. I run the fastest moving digital marketing content video driven agency in the planet. Who are you? So anyway, I'm just kidding. But you know what I'm saying? So here's another part to it that I want to talk to you guys about. Okay, so my father was a philosopher, and Return of the Jedi. I am a Jedi like my father before me. I am a philosopher like my father before me. What we're doing in marketing, right, is matching up what we can solve and what questions we can answer with the user who is searching. And you know this if you ever watched the Marvel movie Doctor Strange, right, where the Time Witch Queen says, it's not about you, right? And she tells the doctor, in Doctor Strange, it's not about you. Everything you do is for them, for those people that are searching for you. So here's the practical tip to that. The title of your YouTube the title of your YouTube video is the question they're typing in, not the way you would say it or the way I would say it. Like I would write, how can I do this? Whereas lots of people title their videos, how can you do this? Because they see it from the world of I'm speaking to you. But if I'm searching, I want to do it. Just flipping a word over from I to you can change the results from flat to viral, because you're finally understanding that it's all about how they're searching for you and matching up your talents and your gifts with how they are asking for you out in the world.
No, that's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Incredible. And again,
go ahead, you.
Yeah, I was just going to say it boils down to a large extent then, what we do with the NLP fraternity, and how we speak to ourselves, how we talk to ourselves, our own internal dialogue, so, and then I can see, Daryl, the correlation between, when you talked about bringing the story out of the people just forget how their story is unique to them. It's very deep inside, and listening to how you bring that out of them is just, it just unlocks a vault of wealth of knowledge that can, I have to put it in this language, monetized if it's channeled then in the right direction. And that's what you do perfectly well by the sounds of things.
Well, storytelling is one of the ancient ways that we communicated. Before literacy, before we could write, before we had a written language, we communicated through story. And the story of anything from Jesus Christ to Grimm's fairy tales to the Trojans to the Spartans to the ancient Greek tragedies to Shakespeare, to all of this, story is how we move our culture forward. It's how we move our morality forward. It's how we move everything forward, is through crafting a story. And the ancient Greeks called it a morality play, right? The Grimm's fairy tales called it a fairy tale. Star Wars calls it Star Wars, right? Which borrows a lot from those kind of things. And there's even some linguistic things that I work with people on too, when everyone says the word basically. I don't know if this is so big in the UK, but right now it's the new Valley Girl world. Back in the 80s, we used to say, well, like, we're going to the Galleria, in California. Today, everyone's saying basically. If you ask anybody about their business, at least in America, they'll say, well, basically it's this. Well, basically it's that. There's nothing basic about you. Stop saying that word, right? Stop saying the word, As we speak, we go, so I was walking down the street, And my father used to slam his hand down on the table and say, no, I don't know, right? You're telling me right now, how could I know? So when we look at that and we really concentrate and focus on our speech, when I speak on camera or when I'm doing a YouTube video, I'm like in a hyper mode. I do my scrunchy face and my stretchy face, my actor, kind of exercises, and I'm hyper aware of this instrument and I'm articulating every single word. I'm pausing and I'm slowing down. And that's a skill that I love to teach as well. I can put up all the Facebook posts, you know what I mean, in the world. I can write all the blogs and put up videos. But if the performance in it, if the language in it isn't performed in a way that moves people emotionally, it's not going to work. What do you say, Christopher? Hugh is just, hogging the thing. I'm going to teach you how to be brave, how to be bigger here, step up and be more of the host here, because Hugh's just taking the stage. And, Hugh, just settle down. Give Christopher a chance. I'm just kidding.
Okay. I'm going to get my moment to shine in about 15 minutes, so I'm not concerned at all.
You're prepping?
So, but cool. It'll be cool. If you're listening to my talk, I'll be following up on a lot of the things you said. So it's great. So right now we got Les Brown coming up, and we have to thank Daryl for his really wonderful contribution and what he does for the world, and helping people bring their stories to the world is tremendous. So thank you, Daryl, and we hope to see you soon again.
Yeah, Daryl, it's been a real pleasure to meet you. Take care. Thanks for your input.
Yeah. And we will be going to Les Brown.
We are living in unprecedented and uncertain times. Thriving in the New Normal is my new TV show created just for you. Are you aware that while most people are surviving during this new normal, others are thriving like never before? Which one are you? Circumstances have never defined the person. Our responses do. What if you could experience the thoughts and behaviors of some of the most successful people in the world and how they have chosen to respond? Let us help you become the person you were destined to be, and not just your current reality. You deserve it. Get ready to thrive. Watch my show now on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and Google Play.
And know this, you're not like everybody else. Majority of people are looking at things that will give them relief from stress, escapism, watching sports. You're not a spectator, you're a player. And get to know that, and that it's lonely at the top. Understand that when you're pursuing your goals and dreams, when you're disciplined, you have something you're working on, you are committed, commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts should be established. All thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. You are a player. And it's lonely at the top, but you eat better. Yes. And so as you look at yourself, look at your goals, understand and know everybody is not going to see it. But it's not necessary that everyone sees it. You see it. That's what's important. You believe it.
He said, I'll give you all your eyes can see.
Yes.
So I used to ask the audience, what you looking at?
Yeah. Right.
What
Yeah.
do you see for yourself?
And when you operate from that kind of thinking, the possibilities are just unlimited. Now, there are some of you who have questions that you'd like to ask, and we want you to get ready to ask your questions because we would love to answer your questions. We have so much more to share with you. We have to condense 3 days in a very short period of time. And there's some of you that have a story, some of you that want to make a difference, some of you right now saying, I'm trying to figure out where do I go from here? Some of you among those over 50 million people have been laid off. Some of you are those who have been eliminated by the job market because of artificial intelligence, robots, or cheap labor abroad. But here's what we know. You are greater than anything that's ever happened to you. Here's what we know. You have greatness in you. I've heard people say, it's not over till the fat woman sings. Well, some people quit when she's just clearing her throat. And they quit. No!
And if you have by chance been laid off, if you have by chance been given a pink slip, if you have by chance had your hours decreased, please know that you weren't laid off. You were released to your highest good.
Yes. Helen Keller said, when one door closes, another door opens. But most of us spend time talking about, complaining about, crying about the closed door. We don't see the open door. Had I not been fired from WVKO radio station, I would not have become a state representative from the 29th district in Columbus, Ohio, and passed 14 bills my first term. Had I not been available to resign from the Ohio legislature, to go back to Miami to take care of Mama when she was diagnosed with breast cancer. I remember ringing the doorbell and Miss Mildred answering the door and said, Mamie, Leslie's here. And hearing your grandmother say, I knew my boy would come. I knew my boy would come. Had I not been fired, I would not be a motivational speaker and spoken in over 51 countries and been able to build a business with my children and now working on my grandchildren and great-grands. Had I not been fired, I would have not been able to touch the lives of millions of people around the world and have a business that will outlive me, that will go into the future. Everything happens for our good. My prayer has been, Lord, give me this if it's for my highest good. If not, give me its equivalent or something better. Trust me on this. There's something better for you. Trust me on this. Believe in you. Become a risk taker. Viscott said, if you're not willing to risk, you can't grow. And if you can't grow, you can't become your best. And if you can't become your best, you can't be happy. And if you can't be happy, then what else is there? Leap and grow your wings on the way down. Walk by faith and not by sight. You've got the power. There's more in you than you realize. There's a presence. There's an energy that you have. There are ideas. The money has not left the planet. There's no shortage of money, just a shortage of thinking and imagination and people with the courage and the innovative mindset to carve out a place for themselves in the economy. What do you want to do next with your life? What does that next chapter look like for you? They want to ask some questions? Land the plane? Okay, very good. We got 5 minutes to land this plane. Very good. What would you like to say? And then I'll be the cleanup man.
I'm proud of you, and you're amazing.
Very good. Thank you so much for your brevity. Here's what I'd like to say to you. As you think about your goals and dreams, it's possible. It's possible. There's some things you can't say that you can do and be in integrity. But you can say, if anybody at any point in time had a dream and made it happen, then it's possible I can have my dream, because those people are only an example. They're not an exception. Your dream is possible. I did not live this dream that I'm now living for 14 years because I was suffering from possibility blindness. I just couldn't see myself doing it. I didn't see myself speaking for corporations. I'd never worked for a major corporation. I didn't see myself having the credibility because I didn't have the money and poured into me like a Tony Robbins who had millions of dollars poured into him for an infomercial. I didn't have that. He had the complexion of connection. I have the complexion of rejection. But I believed that it was possible and that it was necessary. When you believe your dream is necessary, you will find a way. When you believe your dream is necessary, you'll make a way out of no way. People who believe their dream is necessary take no prisoners and eat the wounded. And it's you. George Bernard Shaw said the people that make it in this life, they look around for the circumstances that they want, and if they can't find them, they create them. And it's hard. It's hard when you lose your job. You never saw it coming. It's hard when you have creditors breathing down your neck and you're scared to answer the phone. Got the children lying like I used to. My daddy say he ain't home. It's hard. You can't even think right. But you can do hard. You can do hard. It's easy to give yourself a pass, to be depressed, to feel sorry for yourself, to worry, to look at the bills. Oh, what am I going to do now? No. You don't want to be a worrier. You want to be a warrior. You can do hard, and it's worth it. Our kids are watching us. It's worth it. Your life is worth it. You were chosen for such a time as this. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died. Yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which I fought aside. You've come over a way that with tears have been watered would come treading a path through the blood of the slaughtered. You're here for a reason. You were called to be here. There's a calling on your life. Your voice, your story, your gifts, your talents are needed now more than ever before. This has been Mrs. Mamie Brown's baby boy.
And Dr. Ona, your pride and joy.
My pride and joy. Saying it's been a plum-pleasing pleasure as well as a privilege. We love you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it.
My passion is to set people free by helping you transform any area of your life more effectively and faster than anything you've tried before. I do this by unique abilities gifted to me through 2 near-death experiences that allow me to help you change your frequency, changing your life.
The Best You TV, a TV channel with only the best business leaders and influencers ready to help you rise to the top. Available now on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and Google Play. Are you in the personal development world trying to reach a larger audience? Are you a motivational speaker, an author, therapist, coach, or business guru tired of pushing out content with little results? Gain more clients and expand your business today. Get your show or content on The Best You TV.
I was watching a DVD of Sid Banks, who's a Scottish welder who got enlightened and was sort of the philosopher behind what I do. And he just said something so simple that I'd heard before. But he said, every human being has innate mental health. And I was drinking a beer while he said it, and I, like out the nose. I don't know why, but I heard him. I got that was true even about me. And that was that moment I talked about at the beginning where I went, oh, I've spent all this time trying to not be depressed. And my second book, I was literally 10 days away from going out on tour to promote it, which was all about how to do stuff to handle your depression. And I suddenly saw beyond a shadow of a doubt, I was born happy. We were all, no, babies don't need therapy. We learn to be unhappy. And the truth is, the second we stop thinking the way that we've learned to think, we're right back to the default. That was both the best news I had ever had, because it meant I wasn't damaged and didn't need fixing. It was more like waking up from a dream. Like even if you have a nightmare, you don't have to go back after you wake up and fix what happened in it. I just woke up. And it was terrible because I was about to be on a book tour promoting something that I could now see was fundamentally incorrect. So I got through that. But I was never the same and my work was never the same because I could never look at somebody and see them as broken anymore. And I'd paid lip service to that. I mean, I'd said, oh yeah, you're not broken, you just have bad programming. But I hadn't seen how fundamental it was in me that I was broken and how fundamental it is in so many of us that, well, yeah, we can become higher and higher functioning, but underneath it all, it's still pretty turmoil, still pretty messed up. And it, I don't have a better word for it than blessing and grace. It was a blessing. It was grace to have that taken away from me, to see that that wasn't real. And what was beautiful about it was because it didn't come through a particular religious practice, I was able to talk to anyone about it. I didn't have to say, join this religion and then it will be taken off you. Because obviously we've heard stories like that. It was just through a deeper understanding of the mind. And I've just been committed to that work ever since. And the new book, The Inside Out Revolution, that's my first real attempt at going full out. Like Super Coach, I talked about what I'd learned from it in a way. In this book, I've just shared what it is I saw. And I hope, I know actually, because it's already happening, that other people will get to have that same experience.
Are you sick and tired of struggling to get your career to where you want it to be? Working with the right coach can be a life-changing experience, and Bernardo Moya is changing lives all over the world. Learn how to create revenue streams, attract higher qualified clients consistently, market your brand, and promote your business to a global audience. Bernardo is one of the biggest names in the world of personal development. He is an entrepreneur, an author, a speaker, and a founder and chief inspirational officer of the Best You Corporation. So fast-track your career now. The Best You Store, helping you do more, achieve more, be more. Store.thebestyou.co